This is the part 2 of the series, primarily aimed at provoking your thoughts on the true identity of the lost tribes of Israel. The most informative text on this topic is found in the apocryphal book of 2nd Esdras. Chapter 13, verses 40 to 46 reads, "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, Paf, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country, where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come." 2nd Esdras 13:40-46. This is a very common passage quoted by all tribe seekers. There are, however, a few points I will like to highlight. Number 1. Mode of transportation. The Israelite mode of transportation was walking, not sailing as some people speculate. How do I know this? Firstly, they always walked or rode on asses when migrating at the time. Abraham and Isaac did, so did Israel when they left Egypt, as well as Joseph with his wife Mary when fleeing from Herod. Secondly, there were no boats built at the time that would have been strong enough to navigate either the Indian or Atlantic Ocean. Sailing on the Mediterranean is not the same as sailing on the Atlantic. Even the Europeans could not conquer the ocean waves until the 15th century, and many seasoned Vikings perished attempting to sail from Denmark to England. Mass migrating via the ocean, therefore, would have made no sense and would have been potentially lethal for a nation. The closest such migration is the colonization of the New World, which was gradual over a long period of time on massive ships that were not available in 722 BC. Besides, the passage indicates they passed through that country for 1.5 years. We all know that oceans are never referred to as countries. Thirdly, this passage in Esdras says that they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. You only look for the narrow part of a river when you are crossing on foot. Note also the part that says that the Most High held still the flood till they were passed over. That sounds almost exactly like the crossing of the Red Sea, which they did on foot in Exodus 14:21-29. If you were sailing by boat, you would look for the widest part of the river and sail right down the middle of it. These 3 points indicate that the likely form of transportation was by foot. Number 2. Direction of travel. When this migration began, the 10 tribes were in Assyria, which is modern-day northern Iraq. To cross the Euphrates from Hala and Habor, they would have had to be traveling westward towards Saudi Arabia or Egypt. If they were traveling eastward, as the Brit-Am claim, they would have had to cross into Iran via the Tigris River, not the Euphrates as seen on maps. So, maybe you are wondering, why couldn't they go north into Turkey? Those who make this claim use the statement, "where never mankind dwelt," as their reason. 2 arguments I have against this are as follows. Firstly, the not-so-friendly Hittite Empire was there, so Israel was jumping from the pan into the fire. Secondly, Noah's Ark rested on Ararat in Turkey, so it is safe to assume that a number of other people and tribes would have settled in and around the region. Thirdly, there is a place in Western Africa called Ouida, also known as Wida or Judah, which was incidentally the place where slaves were shipped from during the transatlantic slave trade. Naturally, my interest was pricked by this fact. Being a Bible student, I am sadly aware that slavery is almost a trademark of the Israelites. If you enjoyed this content, please check out part 3 of the series, like and subscribe.